Yes, this is Kayla.
And this is Becky, and we're with A Couple of Bees Read.
Yes, and we also enjoy our weekly wine. What is our weekly wine, Becky?
Well, this is one we've had before, and last week we had we had Pinot Noir last week, didn't we? Okay, well, this is a Chardonnay by Dove Hunt Dog, one of my favorite wines. I just love this one. This is one of my favorite Chardonnays.
This is the Chardonnay for people who don't like the buttery aftertaste of Chardonnay.
And the thing is, and I learned doing this, they do not put this in oak barrels, and they do not do this malolactic fermentation, which is what gives it the buttery flavor. And this one does not have that, and it is just so light and crisp. Want to guess the fruit? If you can, we've had them. Now we have had this a couple of times.
Lemon.
No,
lemon? Not lemon?
not lemon. Not lemon.
Pear?
Yes.
Pear,
apple, and then it's and I always find this interesting when they say it has a note of white flour. I don't go around eating white flour, so I really don't know what they taste like.
No.
Maybe it's more to do with the smell. I'm not sure, but it pairs well. Of course, any white wine goes well, with shellfish like shrimp and oysters and things, and cheeses and poultry, things like that. But it's an excellent wine, Scout and Cellar. It's the clean crafted wine. No pesticides are used in the wineries, where they grow the grapes, or the vineyards where they grow the grapes. None of that. No added sugars, no added colors, no added anything. You get that authentic taste of the grape, and that's what I love about their wines.
They are delicious, and this refreshing Chardonnay will pair well with our novel today, The Stolen Queen by Fiona Davis. I am a big Fiona Davis fan now. This is the second of her books that I've read, and it was so good. It's such a beautiful combination of genres. So it is a mystery, but it's also historical fiction, and it's also like a bit of women's fiction, because a lot of the themes of the novel have to do with motherhood and overcoming kind of trauma and just overcoming our past to be who we should be.
Right.
The two main characters, we've got Charlotte Cross, who is an archaeologist, and in 1936 she was in Egypt discovering things. She actually she's based off a real life archaeologist who made several discoveries, which in 1936 is very rare for women to be allowed to do that.
True.
So when our story starts, she now works at the Metropolitan Museum, and she curates there, and she says she'll never go back to Egypt because of a tragedy that occurred there. And I can't tell you what it was, but you gotta read. And when it got to where it actually showed what had happened to her, I was crying a little bit. I was like, oh no. But now she's, in 1978, which is where the majority of the novel takes place,
right.
Working at the Met, and they're getting ready for the King Tut exhibit as well as for the Met Gala. And a young girl named Annie Jenkins, she's 19 years old, who has always kind of had to take care of her mother. Annie's mother is she's a former model. She's a little vapid. She's dating a man that she won't tell that she has a daughter. And yet Annie is the one getting jobs as a maid, working at a diner, doing everything to provide for them and to have an apartment. And her mom's just not the kind of person who should be a mom, probably. So her mom is also really dainty and small, like a model in those days was.
Yeah.
And Annie is tall with broad shoulders, and so she's always felt a little insecure about her looks. And she loves going to the Met. Her favorite exhibit is one that is also Charlotte's favorite exhibit. So they cross paths a few times. And then Annie Jenkins starts working for Diana Vreeland, who is a real person. Mm-hmm. She was a fashion designer, and she is eccentric. She is wild and crazy. Like, look her up. She's just such a fun character. And Annie goes to work for her to do the Met Gala. A disaster strikes, and one of the art pieces is stolen, and it is, of course, the Stolen Queen.
Gotcha.
So it is the art piece that Annie and Charlotte both feel strongly about. Annie kind of almost gets blamed for the theft in a weird turn of events. So she and Charlotte take off for Egypt to track down the thieves. And Charlotte has to reconnect with her past, which has to do with her having a daughter in younger years. And, you know, Annie is finally getting this female role model that she's always wanted. Okay. So it's a beautiful story. The end, I texted Becky as soon as I was done. I was like, I'm walking. I walk like a few miles a day at work, and I'm like, I'm walking and crying. And it was so good.
She told me I had to read it, so I'm looking forward to it.
Yes, absolutely. It reminded me a lot of The Lost Book of Flora Lee.
Oh, love
by Patty Callahan Henry.
Yes, love it.
Which is why when I say women's fiction, I'm like, also that, because it had that kind of emotional toll on me. Right. And that part surprised me pleasantly. So definitely check out The Stolen Queen by Fiona Davis.
Great.
Let us know what you think. Meanwhile, what are you drinking? What are you reading?
Yeah.
Bye, guys.